Well, I have the honor and privilege. We're going to be starting out our day with Mark HYMAN. Who heard him this morning already? Woo! Probably brought you back hearing Mark HYMAN the first time, right? Mark has dedicated his career to identifying and addressing root causes of chronic illness through a whole systems medicine approach known as functional medicine. He's a physician, co-author of the Daniel Plan, 4 times New York Times best-selling author, and an internationally recognized leader in the field. We are so thrilled to have him as one of our founding doctors. Let's give it up for Mark HYMAN. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Saddleback, I'm glad to be back. Y'all ready to get healthy? All right. I have a question for you all. A very, very important question. If Jesus came to dinner, what would you feed him? Would you give him a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke? Right? Would you feed him all the junk that we feed ourselves, that we feed our guests when they come to dinner, or would you eat real food? You know, if God lives within you, why are you feeding him crap? Right? So it's very simple. The Daniel Plan principles of food are very simple. Leave the food that man made. Leave the food that man made and eat the food that God made. This is not food that God made. Factory-made science projects that are made in industrial food systems that are empty of any real nutrition are not the foods our bodies were designed to eat. They're hyper-palatable, hyper-addictive, hyper-processed foods that hijack our metabolism and our brain chemistry and our taste buds and rob us of our health and vitality. 70% of Americans and 40% of kids are overweight now. 1 in 2 Americans has either prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. 90% of people with prediabetes have no idea they have it, including many of you in this room. I call this the United States of diabesity, which is a sad state of affairs, but it is fixable. Now, the real change that has happened in the world rarely happens in institutions like governments or corporations. They happen in communities. They happen at grassroots levels. They happen in places where we all live and work and play and pray and eat. Health doesn't happen in the doctor's office, right? Health happens where we eat, where we live, where we work, where we play and pray. That's where health happens. And it's really quite simple. It's really quite simple. We just have to eat the food that God made and we can take back our health. This is the food that God made. It's fruits and vegetables. It's lean protein, chicken, fish, sustainably raised meat, nuts and seeds, eggs, whole soy products, really simple food. This is the foundation of the Daniel Plan. In the Daniel Plan book, we lay out the principles of healthy eating, which is real, whole, fresh food. It's real, whole, fresh food that is the food that God made, not that man made. Now, when you think about it, it's really simple. It's a goof-proof plan that will give you the tools you need to succeed. It's not complicated, and it's available to everybody right now. Now, does anybody in this room have what I call FLC syndrome? Yes, we have a few people. FLC syndrome stands for I feel like crap. Right? We all know what that feels like. We don't have the energy to do what we want to do. We have a whole list of problems: joint pain, fatigue, digestive issues, headaches, sinus problems, allergies. We might have more serious things like diabetes or autoimmune diseases. We have problems that we go to the doctor and see many, many doctors and don't get solutions for because it's not a deficiency of a medication. It's a problem with what we're eating and how we're living. You know, this is a whole list of problems you don't have to have. I call myself a holistic doctor because I take care of people with a whole list of symptoms. So the Daniel Plan is your shortcut to reversing those symptoms. I personally had FLC, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. 20 years ago, you can see how I looked over 20 years ago and how I look today. I feel and look completely different because I use the most powerful drug on the planet to change my life. And this is a drug that shows up at the end of your fork. It's food. Food is the most powerful medicine on the planet. It works faster, better, and is cheaper than any other drug. It's available to almost everybody on the planet, and it has almost no side effects, only good ones. And yet most of us don't realize how what we eat is connected to how we feel. Even the smartest people I've met in the world, and I work with presidents and kings and world leaders, I work with heads of corporations and CEOs, some of the smartest people you would ever want to meet, Harvard professors, and they are completely clueless that how they feel is related to how they are eating, moving, resting, all the things we talk about in the Daniel Plan. The 5 F's, they are completely clueless that has anything to do with how they feel. The Daniel Plan is really a roadmap for you, a toolkit for you to take back your health. The Daniel Plan book, the curriculum, the journal, the cookbook coming out, these are all the tools we need to succeed. So the key to success is very simple. First, you let go of the bad, and you let in the good. You take out the bad stuff, you put in the good stuff. Your body is brilliant. God designed our bodies to work. How do you get back to the original factory settings, right? How do you turn the dials and reset your body so that you can actually feel good again? Most people think that the symptoms they feel or the way they are or their weight, these are things that are just inexorable. They can't change, they're fixed, and there's nothing they can do to make a difference. The truth is you can make a difference. This was Gail. She was 40 pounds overweight. She had headaches, sinus problems, irritable bowel, eczema, acne, depression. She had fatigue. You name it, she had it. And she was able to relieve all those symptoms and all these other chronic issues that come as a result of how we're living. This was Gail before and after. And Gail, her headaches went away. She lost 40 pounds. Her skin cleared up. Her depression improved. She had better energy, and she had brain fog. How many of you have brain fog? Oh my goodness. You know, this is only a few days away from getting better. A few days away. In 10 days, doing the Daniel Plan 10-day detox, okay? This is in the Daniel Plan book. It's what I invite you all to do. It's 10 days to return to your original factory settings, to see how much of how you feel and what's going on is related to what you're eating and how you're living. In 10 days, there was a 62% reduction in all symptoms from all diseases. There is no drug on the planet that can do that except food. What you put at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you'll ever find in a prescription bottle. The problem is we don't know what to do. We've been so confused and bamboozled and hijacked by the food industry, the $1 trillion food industry, and our choices are limited and our environments are toxic. We live in a toxic nutritional landscape, so it's very hard to make the right choices. But you can, and you can get better, and you can not only lose weight, but you can get healthy, and you can get your life back. You know, when you think about it, the Daniel Plan is not a weight loss program. It's the science of creating health. And the weight loss is just a side effect. People lost 250,000 pounds in a year doing the Daniel Plan here, not because it was a weight loss program, because it was simply about the science of creating health. That's why we've designed it, to give you the energy you need to live the life you want. When you think about why we created the Daniel Plan, it wasn't to create another diet book. We don't need that. What we need is a way for people to be able to engage fully in their lives. Why did we create the Daniel Plan? Because we want people to feel good. We want people to have the energy to live their life, to love the way they should love, to do the work they want to do in their community, in their lives, to fulfill the missions they have, to serve God, to do the things that we all want to do to make the world a better place. The Daniel Plan is about transforming the world. The Daniel Plan is not a book, it's a movement. And you are all part of that movement. You are all the nucleus of that movement that we hope will spread across the world to 1 billion people. There are now over 1.5 billion people who are overweight and sick with chronic disease in the world. The world needs this. It's not just America, it's everywhere. We are exporting our toxins like sugar and flour. The average American has 146 pounds of sugar, 146 pounds of flour, and 152 pounds of sugar every year. That's about a pound of sugar and flour combined for every man, woman, and child in America. Now, I know I'm not eating that much, so some of you must be having a little more, right? And you know who you are. Now, we say, you know, I love my cookies. I love my soda. I love my pasta. I love my whatever the word is. And I'm going to tell you something that's a very important scientific fact. That's not love. That's addiction. It's addiction. And I don't mean it metaphorically. I don't mean it's like, really kind of like an addiction. I mean it's a biological addiction. Let me explain. A friend of mine at Harvard, David Ludwig, did a study where he took 2 different kinds of milkshakes and he fed them to the same group of overweight people on different days. One of them was a trick milkshake. They looked and tasted exactly the same number of calories, protein, fat, and carbs, but one had a carbohydrate that raised the blood sugar quickly and one didn't, kept the blood sugar even. When they did the study on their brain imaging and when they looked at their behavior, the ones who had the shake that raised their blood sugar quickly, they were hungrier. They craved more sugar. They craved more carbs. They didn't know they were eating a different kind of milkshake. But what was really amazing was that the area in their brain that is the ground zero for addiction lit up like a Christmas tree. It went crazy. And this is the area that lights up with cocaine or heroin. So if you think that you can control your eating behavior by willpower, forget it. If I said to you, I want you to hold your breath for 15 minutes underwater, and I'll give you $1 million, could you do it? You couldn't, because we are hardwired to crave oxygen. We're hardwired to crave sugar and refined starches and flours. So we have to learn how to reset our hormones and our brain chemistry and take our bodies back. Sugar is 8 times as addictive as cocaine. When given a chance, rats will always switch from cocaine to sugar. If rats are given a choice of cocaine or Oreo cookies, they go for the Oreo cookies, and so do we. Here's the bad news, though. You can't just exercise your way out of a bad diet. Exercise is critical, but you have to walk 4.5 miles to burn off 1 20-ounce soda. You have to run 4 miles every single day for a week to burn off 1 supersized meal. You have to run a marathon every day if you ate a supersized meal every day. You can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. Exercise is critical, it's essential, it's one of the 5 F's, but it is not the answer to a bad diet. Here's another point you need to know. This is what I call one of the major food lies. All calories are created equal. This is not true. Oh, well, you could just have, 100-calorie snack pack of Oreos. That's okay. It's only 100 calories. A lie. Why? Because in your body, they're not the same. Let me explain. Overeating doesn't make you fat. This is probably big news to all of you. Overeating doesn't make you fat. Eating the wrong foods makes you fat and sick. Eating the wrong foods. So if you focus on eating the right foods, you don't have to worry about counting calories or worrying about any of those things that we're all trying to do. A 20-ounce soda has 15 teaspoons of sugar. It's a lot of sugar. You wouldn't put that much sugar in your coffee, but you would do it. When you have that much, it's about 240 calories. You spike your blood sugar, you raise your triglycerides, you lower your good cholesterol, you raise your bad cholesterol. In men, your testosterone goes down. They lose their body hair. It makes women infertile. It makes women go bald and then grow facial hair. So if you keep drinking soda, by the time men and women are about 65, they look about the same. Now, if you have the same number of calories of broccoli, right? That's 7.5 cups of broccoli. Good luck if you can eat it. You might have some side effects, a little gas maybe, okay? But what would happen to your body if you ate 240 calories of broccoli? Well, these are slow carbs. They're not fast, quickly absorbed carbs. It will promote weight loss. It will reduce cholesterol, prevent cancer, reduce inflammation, and help you get rid of environmental toxins. Same calories, very different effect on your body and metabolism. So all calories are not created equal. Very important. So you have to learn how to choose the right food. And that's why we want you to start with the Daniel Plan Detox. It's 10 days to radical health. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do anything for 10 days. You don't have to believe Pastor Rick or myself or Dr. HYMAN or any of the chefs. You just have to do it for 10 days. You've got nothing to lose except your symptoms and your lack of vitality. And if what we're saying is true, and we've tested it with thousands and thousands of people, your life will never be the same. It'll be 10 days to the rest of your life. So you start with the Daniel Plan plate, which is a simple model we've created for how to eat. Half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables, a quarter should be protein, and a quarter can be a whole grain or starchy vegetable like sweet potatoes. You should have low glycemic fruit, apples, berries, and so forth, and water, herbal tea. You should not be drinking anything that has got sugar in it, no liquid sugar. Step 1 of the 5 steps is eliminate flour and sugar. These are the 2 most addictive substances known to man. And these are highly processed foods that are available to us all over the place. It's a toxic minefield. So if you get rid of these things for 10 days, you'll see what happens to your body. And I include artificial sweeteners because we've shown that drinking artificial sweeteners will increase your risk of type 2 diabetes and obesity. It increases your cravings and hunger and slows your metabolism. So if there's no artificial sweeteners. Step 2, get rid of processed foods. If it's in a can, a box, a package, and if it has a label, don't eat it. If it has a health claim on the label, especially don't eat it, right? Like a whole grain cereal, breakfast cereal. Guess what? Most cereals maybe have a few sprinkled whole grains in them, but it's 75% sugar. It shouldn't be called breakfast. It should be called dessert, right? So stay away from high fructose corn syrup, trans fats, or MSG in anything. These 3 things are hidden in almost all your food and are sabotaging your metabolism. It's like food terrorism. Step 3 is take a break from gluten and dairy. These are 2 substances in our diet: wheat, barley, rye, oats, milk, cheese, dairy. These are things that for many people cause a lot of inflammation. And inflammation causes you to feel badly. So for 10 days, stop those. Step 4, eat whole, real, fresh food. Eat food that God made. Leave food that man made. Very simple. This is the food that God made, real food. You all know what it is. You don't need to have a PhD in nutrition to know what I'm talking about. And food is full of information. It's full of instructions that teaches your body what to do every second. We're going to talk about that when we do a food demo in a minute. But these foods are powerful shifts that will happen in your genes. You literally change your genes with every bite. You change the way your genes, which ones are turned on or off. So if you want to fit into your genes, you have to fit into your genes, right? You can have designer genes if you know how to design your genes using the right foods, okay? And you also need to understand the role of phytonutrients and antioxidants. These are powerful molecules that God put in food to work with our bodies to heal them. Chemicals in darkly colored fruits and vegetables. So you should be eating the rainbow. Step 5, eat protein and fat at every meal. Good quality protein fat. It helps balance your blood sugar. It cuts your cravings. It balances your metabolism. And it makes you lose weight automatically. Eggs, poultry, sustainably raised meat, small wild fish, nuts and seeds, and even whole soy products. Fat is not a 4-letter word. Fat does not make you fat. Sugar makes you fat. So you want the good fats like extra virgin olive oil, coconut butter, avocado, eggs, nuts and seeds, and nut butters. Fat makes us feel full. It cuts our appetite, blocks our cravings, and helps us lose weight. If you look at all the research on fat and weight loss, there's no evidence that eating fat makes you fat, despite the fact that we've had 30 years of low fat being shoved down our throats. It's the wrong message. It's why we now have 70% of us overweight. Now, there are 2 simple strategies for success that are included in the Daniel Plan. The first is track your behavior, and that's why there's a Daniel Plan journal. And that's why there's a tents outside where you can know your numbers, your weight, your waist size, your height, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and ideally your blood sugar. You track what you're eating, you track what you're doing. Simply the act of tracking will double your success. Just writing it down, you'll lose twice as much weight. Second is design your life. You have to redesign your life for success. You have to change what's in your kitchen. You have to change what's in your workplace. You have to change what's in your environment. We changed the green room. Pastor Rick used to have all kinds of junk in there. We got rid of it all. We did a Navy SEAL raid on his green room and cleaned it out. What's available now at Saddleback is good food now. So you have to change your environment, and there's strategies for designing your eating life in the Daniel Plan book. Now, I'm going to leave you with one last thought. What is the smallest unit of health? What we've learned from the science is extraordinary about how health is created. The smallest unit of health is community, because we affect each other. What we eat, how we live, what we do, we learn from the people around us. You're more likely to be overweight if your friend's friend is overweight than if your parents are overweight. And you're more likely to eat healthy if the people around you are eating healthy. you should see what happens when people go out to dinner with me. They're like incredibly nervous and they worry about what they're eating, and it's very funny. But just a positive peer pressure of people who are doing things together to help each other is powerful. Health is membership. So I would also call this the love diet. We love each other well. We love each other to health. I want to leave you with one last study, which is a fascinating study about how community plays a role in health. We all have something called brown fat, which is very metabolically active fat, and it burns at a very hot level. And when this fat is activated, you lose weight and you burn belly fat. It's very hard to get it to turn on. It turns on when you either have very intense cold stress, or in this study, they used a different technique. They put rats together in a cage, in a community. They didn't overcrowd them, but they put a nice bunch of friendly rats together. And after 4 weeks, here's what happened. After 4 weeks, there was a 50% reduction in their belly fat. So if you want to lose belly fat, go right out after this service and join a small group, okay? It's your shortcut to health. And that's why we're doing this here at the church, because this is a church where community is alive. This is a church where we work together to get healthy and create better lives and change the world. Let's join together and take back our health. We are starting a movement here, and you are all part of those health revolutionaries that are going to change the world forever. Thank you very much.